Resourceful to raise more resources. Hi, I'm Bill Stanczykiewicz. This is the first day from the fundraising school, and I'm joined today by Danny Gatling. Danny is the Vice President for Advancement and Alumni Relations at Guilford College. And throughout his extensive fundraising career, he's developed expertise on how to raise more money when the resources don't seem to be there to do so. And Danny, thanks so much for being with us on the Fundraising Schools podcast.
Thank you for having me today, Bill.
Now, we know that in the United States alone, there are about 2 million nonprofit organizations. That includes the religious congregations, and about 75% of those have budgets under $1 million. And so we hear this all the time. How can I fundraise when I feel this constraint of resources? How have you encountered this topic throughout your career?
Well, yes, I can totally understand when being an organization that's on the smaller side. We're a smaller liberal arts college in Greensboro, North Carolina, with about 1,100 students. So you can imagine our budgets aren't that great. We don't have a extraordinarily huge endowment. So we are very frugal and resourceful with every dollar that comes through the door. So in times like this, you have to think about how to do more with less, which means to come up with creative ideas, become more innovative and resourceful, and try to use different types of techniques through technology and other things that will allow you to almost reproduce or multiply your team of people, but using the same number of people in the office. So technology does a great job of being able to expand your reach and abilities. And so we really take advantage and try to take advantage of that as much as possible.
Danny, what are some of those examples of how technology has helped you and your team raise resources?
Well, we can come back to the two-letter AI, but because that's a huge piece of it. But even before AI was incorporated in the office, we did many things to improve our effectiveness and our efficiency within the office. So we took on a different number of project management tools and project management programs that will allow us to become more efficient in our work. And there was a period of time in my office, I just have some, I think some geeks in my office and I say that in a very, very good way, that they have been helpful to technology geeks that have been helpful to identify new programs that are in the market that could help us in some of our work. So as we are bringing in gifts and having to acknowledge donors and having to send out donor letters and acknowledgement letters and things like that, my team came up with a program that we've used several programs like Notion or Asana, and they have written programs in between bridges, in between several different programs to allow our efficiency and our processes to be automatic. And so when a gift comes in, as soon as it's put in our system, it goes through a series of checkpoints, I will say, where the gift is created, the letter is created, the solicitation and addresses are put on automatically. So it just goes, it's like a conveyor belt now where it just takes place. And that has been able to allow us to be able to take some people off that particular process in order to move forward.
I love that image, a technological virtual conveyor belt that is allowing you to find so much more time efficiency and deploy your people elsewhere to other important functions. Are these technology tools free? Do they cost a large amount of money? What are the financial implications of incorporating technology like this?
Yeah, actually, in the big scheme of things, they're not expensive programs. We're talking, some of them are less than $1,000 a year. We have memberships, and depending on the type of membership you purchase, and for a small liberal arts college, for us, it was what I would call minimal, $2,000, $2,500, $1,000. Some are just bridges that may be $5 a month that we can use in certain cases. But we try to, and that's part of the exercise of trying to become more efficient, but also keep it in perspective, the budget constraints that we're under. So we want to make sure we keep the cost low in order to have a higher return on our investment. So, and at our college, at Guilford College, the advancement office, because we're a small school, you can imagine we touch 80 to 90% of everything that happens on this campus, whether it's a request for a list or an event that needs to be planned or travel for the president or travel for the alumni office, athletics. We're into everything. So you can imagine how backlogged our office could get when you're in the midst of a school year where you have activities going on all the time and alumni events going on all the time. You have to have a way to organize all of this and manage all this in a very effective manner.
Danny, how much time did you need to devote to training in terms of helping your team, really learn how to use these tools? And was that training you were able to do internally with these beloved geeks who are on your team? Did you need to bring in outsiders to provide that training? What did that look like for you?
A very good question. In some cases, it was internal. Again, my director of advancement operations, she just lives for this type of work. So she's the one who would be up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, just playing around, trying to figure out the ins and outs of it. So then she could be the trainer that comes in and trains us as a staff. And then other cases, depending on how sophisticated the program is, we would bring in some consultants or enlist some consultants within the program itself to do some type of training for us as we were starting, so we can get a good handle on what we're doing. And we continue that training on a periodic basis with the entire staff. So it just depends on what it is and how quickly people can pick up on it, and whether we bring in new people or bring in someone to help us to consult and just help us to troubleshoot sometimes.
Danny, at the start of our conversation, you got everybody intrigued when you mentioned AI, artificial intelligence. And of course, this is just a leading edge topic now in the field of professional fundraising. We have coursework at the fundraising school. And while there are important questions that continue around, the philosophy and ethics and donor privacy and things of that nature, fundraisers are asking, but what can I do? How can this help me? What are some of the examples you're seeing and that you've been able to implement using artificial intelligence to raise more resources?
That's a great question. And I'm going to throw, Bill, I'm going to throw you a military term out that we have adopted in our space here at the college in advancement, and it's VUCA, VUCA. And VUCA stands for volatile, unexpected, complex, and ambiguous. And that's pretty much how our operation runs on a day-to-day basis. There are unexpected things that come up. And then follow, we in this situation in higher education right now for small schools is volatile. So you just don't know what's going to happen. You have to meet your enrollment numbers. You have to meet your fundraising numbers. So and depending on how donors are feeling that particular day, you just don't know what's going to happen. So we have to be able to pivot often and with ease. So AI helps us to make those pivots, or again, come in and take the place of some people who would, for example, are trying to write the thank you letters or acknowledgement letters, or we're trying to put a marketing piece together. We use the AI technology to help us to think through what we're going to write, what we're going to put down, and sometimes I've had staff members to talk about, well, isn't that cheating to have AI to do this for us? But it's only cheating if you use it word for word. We it just gives us a starting place, helps us to get going, and then I was given an example yesterday to say that when we write letters for the president or faculty members all the time, and they may use those letters. Nobody really thinks about that as, cheating, quote unquote. So we are just using the resources that we have to make sure we can cover the breadth of work that we have, and AI allows us to do that. So AI in our donor relations, AI in our prospecting. So we can take our database now and run it through some AI systems that will help us with determining who we should target, how we should target, how we could get a better return on a certain segment of people based on their historical giving, and then some other pieces that we may have in their profile that will say, hey, here's a group that you may not have been paying attention to before that will probably be or could be a good target group, target area for you to increase your giving. So we use artificial intelligence to help us with that as well. So again, wherever we can incorporate it, where it makes sense, we put it into play. And again, with new technology, there's always something somewhere in advancement where we're seeing that it's some other places or in nonprofit organizations may be having success, and we try to see what others are doing and incorporate where we can.
And our experience and what we've developed in our curriculum is that if you're going to use AI for your fundraising and develop these and other efficiencies, you very likely do need the subscription versions of AI. The free versions are okay, they're initial, and you might say, wait a minute, I thought we were talking about less resources. In our view, the benefit is still greater than that initial cost, and it's only going to grow from there. So just as we think about investing in an electronic donor database, we're not keeping the donor information, Danny, on 3x5 cards and shoe boxes anymore.
Right.
You need a little bit of investment in AI, right?
Yes, totally. And as you mentioned that, we do get the subscriptions to AI so we can have those extended versions of and a little bit more robust program when it comes to just going to Chat GPT and putting something in.
Danny, we've been talking so much about technology, but we also know that fundraising at its core is a people business, a relationship business. And I'd like to ask you, in terms of being resourceful to raise more resources, the importance of diversifying our donor database, not asking the same people or the same demographic of people. And of course, we know that just the broader topics of diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging, they're just the morally right thing to do. But as we're also talking about raising more resources, how can that type of people work help us raise more money?
Yes, well, I think we are in a place in our country now that we're moving to more affinity-based fundraising, which means, which in some may call it diversity, and you can slice and dice diversity in so many different ways, but I like to look at it as affinity groups. Where are those groups of individuals who are coalescing amongst themselves pretty much organically to accomplish whatever goal or mission that they may have for that particular organization? So we have been looking to expand our base and look more inclusively to say, okay, yes, we have alumni that are spread all around the globe, but now what pockets of alumni are working together and meeting together and coming together, and how can we cultivate those groups a little bit differently based on where they are and then what they're doing in order to improve our fundraising that's coming into the college. So, for example, there's always the diversity when we look at racial and ethnic groups. So we have a Black alumni group here at the college, and we're looking to form a Latino group here at the college and some other groups here at the college. And so, and they've been very effective because we have learned that they're coming together on their own. And what we can do is provide a little bit more infrastructure to say, now, here is how you can work with the college, and here's how we can work with you to become different, larger investors in the college. And it may be for a specific purpose that they see. But then you also have the biology alumni or the physics alumni who are coming together, and we didn't even know they were coming together, and say, well, again, organically, they're already creating their own group. So let's work with them and create some strategy around how they can support some of the activities and the initiatives at the college. So as we go forward, and I think as we come out of the pandemic, I think has really created a lot of this different types of approaches. We are now, impact is a big thing. And so as we can find impact for smaller specific organizations, we can work with them to increase their impact based on where they are and what they have an interest in, versus doing a wide, just brush and painting over the entire alumni as if they are the same, where we know they're not. So we're doing more in the with donors and alumni of color and different racial groups and LGBTQIA groups and even going down to our choir and our like I said, our physics and biology group. So wherever we can bring a group of people together who want to support the mission and vision of the institution, we work with them.
Danny, that's a wonderful explanation. And if I could ask you to apply this outside of higher education, to nonprofits in other subsectors, this idea of affinity groups. And again, the broader topic of our discussion today is how to be resourceful to raise more resources. And if I can identify the right affinity group that is external to my organization, and again, it could be around race, it could be around gender, it could be around all sorts of different, interests and hobbies and different areas of lifestyle, that in one meeting, if I'm understanding you correctly, and if that meeting goes well and I develop a good relationship with that one affinity group, then perhaps I can start meeting larger numbers of people, almost like that first pebble in the pond that sends rings outward. Am I understanding you correctly?
You're exactly right. And your analogy is an example is spot on, because it starts with that one person. Because I was just talking to a small nonprofit organization who's trying to build the organization. And so when you ask the questions, well, who is supporting you? And they're trying to get into different communities, and think about the people who are coming to your meetings. Think about the people who are supporting you, not just it doesn't have to be financially. It's the ones that may be showing up to an event, maybe showing up to something that you're doing with someone else, another organization. And it's once you lock into that relationship and really start to build a relationship, then you'll see that there are people that are just like them, who have the same types of feelings and want to support in the same ways, that you'll be able to tap into those same resources using one person. So I encourage people to, especially fundraisers, and to not be afraid to ask the question or have the conversation around, hey, I am interested, or we are interested in doing more in this particular, with this, whether it be a group of people or organization. How can you help? How can we work together to do this? And will you please give me ideas as far as what things are attractive and what information is attractive, so we can do more in the area. So I just think you have to ask questions and not be afraid to be a bit vulnerable, and because it's all about learning. And if you are sincere and the person on the other end knows that you're really trying to bring solutions, then they'll be open to working with you.
Just as fundraisers work with donors and identify the donors' philanthropic values and motivations, these affinity organizations exist to serve their members. And so if you can show why your nonprofit could be of value to their members, of interest to their members, you're actually doing the affinity group a little bit of a favor by giving them a resource that they can share with their membership. Danny Gatling is the Vice President of Advancement and Alumni Relations at Guilford College. And Danny, thanks so much for sharing your collective crystallized intelligence with our audience here on the Fundraising Schools podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure to be with you.
And we are very well aware at the Fundraising School that not all nonprofits are Indiana University. In fact, we tell the folks who come to the Fundraising School, forget that large gift that you just saw go to the big university or the big hospital system. We know that that's not most of you. And Danny's good guidance today can help us in that regard and is really part of who we are at the Fundraising School with our 24 public courses that lead to 6 different certificates now. And we also can customize this training just for your nonprofit or your association or your region, wherever that might be. And we can teach in person. We can also teach online. We have quarterly webinars and, of course, these weekly podcasts. All of our knowledge is gathered in our textbook, Achieving Excellence in Fundraising, now out in the book's 5th edition. All this information available on our website at go.iu.edu/TFRS for the Fundraising School. Again, thanks to our guest this week, Danny Gatling, and a podcast produced by the Emmy Award winner, Mike Anthony, alongside Jennifer Boffman. I'm Bill Stanczykiewicz. Now you are now more fully informed on this first day from the Fundraising School.